If it's Sunday, that means it's in the booth, joined by Chris Smith. 200 miles at Daytona coming up for NASCAR with their Sunset Showdown this Tuesday. Tonight, we're just kind of getting warmed up, a test session to run some new software. So bear with the to the next position. Qualifying is over. We're going to check back with Chris and see if we got the issues resolved. Chris, you got a copy?
Yeah, I'm here, but I think that we are having some connection issue, and I think it's on my end.
Okay. We are going to get these problems sorted out, but we're going to go ahead in the meantime and talk about the starting lineup. Just a few drivers in the race tonight. Not a big field. We are expecting a bigger field coming up Tuesday night with at least 15 to 20 stock cars rolling around here. That's going to be a sight to behold. But it looks like on the starting pole tonight, if my information is to be believed here,
it's Mr. Steve Vest.
Steve Vest with a fast qualifying time. Josh Cruz in the 22 car going to be starting second. CJ Everett in that number 10 is going to be coming to the front from the inside of row number 3 with Johnny Rapp, a Slingshot Racing favorite, on the outside of row 2 starting 4th. Paul Thomas in row number 3 starting 5th. Curtis May going to be starting on the outside of row 3 in that 11 car in 6th position. Tyler Payne will be starting 8th, Taylor Nadeau 9th, Shane Coker 10th, and Blake Hayter 11th. All right, Chris, so as we gear up here, drivers getting ready to make one single pace lap around. What are we expecting to see, not just tonight for these 35 laps, but for that 200-mile event coming up on Tuesday night? How do these cars drive in comparison to, say, your next-gen NASCAR stock car that is currently on the NASCAR circuit?
Well, the biggest thing that separates them from these newer cars that you see today is on Daytona and Talladega, they are unrestricted. So you're going to see these cars going a lot faster than what you're going to be seeing those next-gen cars travel on just about any other track. So, with that extra speed comes a little bit of a handling issue. These things aren't stuck to the racetrack like those next-gen cars that you see out on the track every single Sunday these days. So you're going to see them chasing those back ends up the hill just a little bit. They're not going to be glued down to the yellow line all the way around. So I'm going to be watching and seeing over the course of these 35 laps maybe whose handling goes away quicker. I think by the end of this run, I think that the driver maybe who's looked after his tires the best over the course of this run might find himself in victory lane.
Yeah, I think that is something that drivers here at Daytona in these 87 stock cars kind of take for granted a little bit is the tire wear. We heard a little bit of conversation in the practice with drivers really kind of noticing just how differently this car handled in traffic at Daytona. And this is even the newer, more recently paved Daytona, which has a little bit more grip for these drivers, but it's still a narrow track. And at the high speeds that these NASCAR stock cars really carry down the straightaways and through the corners, these drivers are kind of white knuckling it for much of the race. You and I both have experience in these cars, and man, it's a blast, but it is nerve-wracking simultaneously.
Absolutely, absolutely. And these drivers right here tonight, you know, there's not many of them out here, so we'll see what we'll see what they're able to do over. Oh, well, we've got one that's decided to start wrecking people before we even get going here.
Uh-oh, who is that?
I think that was the 10 of CJ Everett. Decided he was just going to wreck Steve Vest, our pole sitter.
Not sure what happened there. We'll try to figure out if he's going to get re-racked or not. But right now, that is going to leave. It looks like Steve maybe got away with that one in that.
And Ellis,
in that number 3.
You might have to clear black flags here because of that action.
Okay, I could definitely do that.
Because I don't know if Steve's going to make it back up here in time.
Regardless of that, we're getting ready to take the green flag here. We are green. We'll see if we have any black flags to clear, but right now, a couple cars get out to a quick start. A couple cars also slow on the draw just a little bit. Going to see if we have any black flags that come out. Maybe not, but right now, it's going to be CJ Everett who does take over the lead with that. Looks like Josh Cruz is going to slide into second. That's a good Terry Labonte paint scheme, a little bit of a throwback scheme right there, Chris, as he nudges to the inside there to go up. Oh, a little bit of contact there between CJ Everett and Josh Cruz. Looks like Cruz is a little bit loose on the inside, showing just how difficult these are to handle.
Yeah, absolutely. And CJ Everett is able to get out front here, and he's kind of pulling away a little bit. Now, I don't think he's going to pull away, but he's getting away a little bit right here while these cars behind him are side by side.
Yeah, side by side indeed. It looks like it's Curtis May and Josh Cruz. Cruz, the yellow and red car on the outside. Curtis May in that number 11. Cool crossover move on Taylor Nadeau in that 16. And look at how quickly they're going to close up to the back bumper of that black and red car driven by CJ Everett, making it look easy as Curtis May sliding to the inside, pulling the slingshot, if you will, to the inside of CJ Everett, who's kind of wiggling around the track, trying to find what line's going to work best. He eventually decides on the wall.
Oh, we got a crash.
That's going to bring out a caution right now. I think we might stay green. We'll let the CJ Everett mobile collect his thoughts and maybe get going again. But right now, that is going to put the field a little bit further behind Curtis May. But if they draft, Chris, what does it look like in terms of the prospects of catching back up to the 11?
They'll definitely be able to do it. You see Taylor Nadeau right here in that Kyle Petty Wood Brothers throwback right here. He's got a line of cars behind him, including Paul Thomas and that Alan Kowicki throwback. You know, if they can get lined up right here, Johnny Rapp as well, they'll definitely be able to chase down our leader, Curtis May.
Yeah, Paul Thomas in that Quincy Steakhouse car trying to get up to the back bumper of Taylor Nadeau. That Sitco Mobile running in second place right now in that 21. Thomas has got a lot of help from Johnny Rapp behind him. Right now, single file is kind of the best strategy for drivers. And if you are joining us right now, this is really just a test session to test some new broadcast software and elements that we are running along with kind of a different streaming software. So just bear with us as we get back in the swing of things. Big 200-mile race coming up Tuesday night. You can see it there on the ticker, the Sunset Showdown from NASR. Riding on board with Paul Thomas right now, Chris. You can see these cars carry a lot of speed.
Yeah, and he got really tight right there. You could hear when he ran up on the back bumper of Taylor Nadeau right there, got some dirty air on the nose. He got really tight. You can't, and I think that's a good lesson for all the drivers that run on Tuesday night in that Sunset Showdown, that you cannot run wide open around this track and these cars compared to, like how you would in some other possible generation NASCAR vehicles.
It requires a lot of discretion, and we've heard our expert driver Aaron Smith, multi-time slingshot champion, as we watch Taylor Nadeau jump to the bottom of the track to try to head off a pass from Josh Cruz. Cruz shows some discretion there, Chris. I was just about to make a point that they just illustrated really well. You have to show discretion with that throttle and brake in these cars. You really have to master it just a little bit more than you do your typical stock car at Daytona or Talladega, because these things will catch up on each other in a hurry. And if you're not careful, you'll either go into the back bumper of the car in front of you or into the wall to your right side.
Yeah, and we got Josh Cruz in the wall right there off turn 2. I guarantee you on Tuesday night, you're going to see a lot of that. Getting tied off of turn 2 is a hallmark of these cars. Meanwhile, the guy in second place right here, Johnny Rapp, he's no stranger to these cars on the high banks of Daytona. He's closing in on Curtis May at a rapid pace.
Yeah, Johnny Rapp has won a couple of races in these cars with Slingshot Racing League, but he is, like you mentioned, no stranger as he continues to close the gap with the help of Taylor Nadeau behind. This is kind of a two-car tandem breakaway. There's about 20 car lengths behind them, all the way back to fourth Shane Coker right now in that 32. But Johnny Rapp really drawing a beat very quickly on Curtis May in that number 11. And I would say within the next lap or so, Curtis May is going to be seeing a lot of white and orange in his rear view mirror. Johnny Rapp climbing through the field after starting back in the fourth position tonight. Rapp has made his way up to second place, and he's got his eyes on the win as we watch that battle forecast right now. Just less than a lap predicted telemetry showing that Johnny Rapp will quickly catch Curtis May, who's led the last 4 laps with very little competition after kind of clearing the rest of the field after a small incident involving CJ Everett on lap number 2.
Yeah, and you can see you can see just the experience that Johnny Rapp has on these on this high banked oval right here with these 87 stock cars. He's doing it without a lot of help. Taylor Nadeau's coming along with him, but they've kind of chased down Curtis May all by themselves, and that's another thing about these cars right here is you see them moving up the hill right here. They're not just driving up there. If you get in a truck or an Xfinity car or a Next Gen Cup car, you might drive up there to that top lane, but they're chasing those cars up the hill here in these throwbacks.
Yeah, I'm curious if we were to go on board with Johnny Rapp here, what we might see on those hands on the steering wheel as he gets ready to contemplate at least a pass on Curtis May. 9 laps in the books of 35. We're just a quarter of the way in, but they've gone very quickly here at Daytona, an average lap time of just over 43 seconds.
He pulls right up on the back bumper of Curtis May right there, but you listen to him lift right there. So he backs the corner up a little bit more than May does, and he's able to get to the bottom a lot faster than Curtis May. And that's another, example of his experience in these cars in this setting right here. If you've been out there, and Ellis, I've been out there too, and in fact, I think I've gotten so close to your bumper here, I think I've turned you around a little bit with the air.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah. That's all right.
Yeah, and I've done it before, and Johnny's given the 11 plenty of room on corner entry to where he doesn't do that.
Yeah, he is showing what a veteran he is right now. You could watch it. It's kind of impressive to watch. Lots of things going on in the cockpit right now for Johnny Rapp. You're kind of focusing on that car in front of you. He's got Taylor Nadeau and that number 16 right behind him that he's got to worry about, and he's also just finessing that throttle and brake. Again, when we've said it multiple times during the broadcast, but at Daytona, you're traditionally expecting these cars to be full throttle, but these 87 cars carrying the massive amounts of speed. Right now, going into the corner, Chris, Johnny Rapp clocked at 209 down into turn 1. So, again, 209, you're talking about speeds upwards of 200. We're getting IndyCar level speeds here. You got to lift off just a little bit even at Daytona, considering how narrow it is here.
Yeah, he's pulling up right on the rear bumper of Curtis May. He's not going to put the bumper to him, just going to make him think about it, and he's pressure. Oh, look how Johnny's car pushed right there on corner entry. Yeah, he was really tight being that close up behind him right there. You can kind of pressure a guy into a mistake here, just like anywhere else. I mean, you kind of have to treat Daytona in these cars almost like you treat an intermediate in, one of these other, newer style NASCAR vehicles.
Absolutely, and you can see that pack just bunched up right now headed down into turn number 2, down onto the backstretch, getting ready to hit lap
we got
number
trouble.
12, really loose.
Shane Coker, looks like he had a little bit of an issue right here. We're going to go back and see if we maybe can figure out what happened to Shane. And he and Steve Vest, looks like they got together a little bit right there. Oh, and yeah, Steve Vest was inside of Shane, and looks like Shane was trying to protect that position and got himself turned around there.
Caution flag is out on lap number 13 of 35 for an incident involving Shane Coker, hard into the wall. We should mention these drivers do have fast repairs, Chris. They won't have one, I believe, on Tuesday night, but that's going to benefit Shane Coker here.
Yeah, it is. He'll be able to get that that Ford Thunderbird all fixed up right there, and he is currently 1 lap down, but yeah, he'll be back in this thing, and this is going to bring a lot of people back into this thing. Paul Thomas, Steve Vest, they'll be able to catch up to the leaders.
They're going to be able to catch up, maybe come in here and get a fresh set of tires just over a third of the way here through this Sunday night shootout here on Slingshot Racing Media. We mentioned we're in the process of updating some of the logos, some of the graphics and stuff. Hopefully everyone tuning in right now having a great night. Chris and I have really missed calling Slingshot Racing League races. We can't wait to get back to. We've got some exciting opportunities coming up here in the fall, including Tuesday night's NASCAR Sunset Showdown, but we've got some other exciting news coming about Thursday Night League starting here in just about 2 months or so. So it's going to be a little bit of a time, but in the meantime, we've got other content coming up. We've got the NASCAR Heat Career Mode stream that I do a couple times a week. We've got some other content, live streams that we're going to be having come out here in the next couple of weeks as well, Chris. Lots of exciting things happening during this transition. Speaking of transitions, we got several cars coming down pit road. Looks like the field, led by the 11 of Curtis May, going to come to the attention of their crews. I'd imagine fresh tires and a tank of gas is in store for all of these drivers right now.
Yeah, absolutely. They're Johnny Rapp overshot his pit stall, so he will probably not be able to gain ground. One thing to pay attention to here, and it looks like Steve Vest took his quick repair right there. You see that Western Auto Chevy getting all fixed up right there on pit road. One thing to keep in mind here on this restart is shifting in these cars. If you do not have a clutch aid, shift aid turned on, that can be a little bit tricky, a little bit different than what you're used to. So can't just cram it into gear here. You have to utilize the clutch if you're not using those assists.
Hey, and Chris, we've got a couple of raps in the chat right now. John and Johnny are in the chat. Hey, John, we hope you are doing well, my friend. We're glad to see you back on your feet watching these races. Hopefully everything is well up in your neck of the woods. Connor is in here as well, Chris. The loyal Slingshot following has not abandoned us, even without weekly races here for the past month. We appreciate y'all tuning in and hope everyone's doing well. Who do you think is going to win this race? Let us know in the chat. Is it going to be newcomer Curtis May or Taylor Nadeau or some familiar Slingshot faces like Johnny Rapp, Paul Thomas, Steve Vest in this kind of smaller field tonight? I think, Chris, is anyone on pit road right now? I think we might be good to maybe subtract a pace lap. Shall we do it, or should we let them run it out here?
Are they coming to 1 to go here? That's what I have a question about, because if they're coming to 1 to go, if they're getting the 2 to go here, we can definitely subtract it.
Let's see if we see them line up. Right now, we do, as this is just kind of a fun little practice race. We have the power to make these choices. Not something we can do in a regular race, but I believe they're going to get the 1 to go here. So, Chris, we're about halfway through this race, in just a couple of laps. Does the thought process change at all? Kind of the second half of the race, drivers trying to take care of each other early on in this race. How does that mentality change, at least from the perspective of you as a driver, that second half of the race? Are you making riskier moves, or are you still just kind of waiting in line?
Well, like, tonight, with there just being so few people, you're a little bit more, willing to, sort of ride in line. But, I'm trying to think ahead to Tuesday night, when it's a full field out here. So, yeah, I'm not going to be as willing, I don't think, because, while it is Daytona, the track does become, track position is still important. It's still important to make sure that, you're up there near the front. And, if you've been in Daytona, Talladega races before, you know that sometimes the track just gets clogged up and you just can't go anywhere. While you can gain and lose a lot of spots really fast, if you're in a field with some really, really good drivers, some really, really talented drivers who don't make a lot of mistakes and know how to draft, then you just can't get through the field, as quickly as you would think that you would be able to. So I'm definitely going to be more cognizant of my track position here the second half of the race, and definitely try to keep it.
Yeah, they're going to be doing everything they can to keep track position here. We've seen a couple of incidents earlier on, one bringing out a caution here just a couple of laps ago with Shane Coker, but he was able to take his quick repair. He's in 6th position. He's going to be seeing him starting on the inside there of row 4. Pace car going to bring him around here, going to come down pit road. We're going to be put under green flag conditions for the second time today, just nearing the halfway point here of this Sunday night shootout practice race. It's going to be Curtis May in that 11. Mashing the throttle. We are back underway. Johnny Rapp to the outside. He's going to do battle with Taylor Nadeau on the inside in that 21 Citgo machine, trying to line up behind the 11. Chris, I've seen that 11 and 16 working together a little bit tonight. I'm wondering if there's an alliance there, if these two guys might know each other. Looks like they're familiar with each other, at least been very comfortable with each other on the track, and I do think that kind of relationship matters at a restrictor plate track, is you kind of know what the other's going to do and you can anticipate. But based on that move, I take back what I said as we watch Taylor Nadeau slide to the outside, making that slingshot maneuver. Johnny Rapp looking like he might go with him here through turns 3 and 4. It's Taylor Nadeau to the outside of Curtis May. Can that 21 get an edge off of 4 and lead this lap here? Coming to lap number 17, almost halfway at Daytona.
Yeah, and Nadeau's got some help up there on that top side with Johnny Rapp. Johnny's going to back off right here because running the top is really... Oh, and you can see Nadeau right there. Running the top is a lot harder than running the bottom in these cars here on this. I don't know how it is on the old surface of Daytona, but that's one thing I noticed in our last Slingshot Racing League race that we ran here with these cars on this track. It was hard to run the top if you were side by side with somebody else. You need that whole track. You need to be able to, run it to the bottom, as you're seeing Curtis May doing right there.
And he's doing a really good job. You mentioned the movement around the track that a lot of these drivers are kind of exhibiting right now. Typical for what we see in these 87 stock cars around Daytona, using up every inch of the track. Right now, Taylor Nadeau trying to use up every inch of the 11 of Curtis May, making that move to the inside. He wants the lead. He wants to go to the front. He's wiggling around. He's going to think better of it this time. Doesn't have the momentum to pull it off. He's going to need some assistance from Johnny Rapp in that number 52, bright white and orange machine if he's going to make it happen here on lap number 18. We're halfway at Daytona.
Yeah, you saw Taylor Nadeau really close to the rear bumper of Curtis May right there on corner. Ooh, they get really close right there. That's very dangerous in these cars. You can really loosen somebody up, and it looks like Johnny Rapp is going to elect to stay behind that Junior Johnson Racing throwback right there and push. Ooh, May's loose on corner entry.
Very loose on corner entry in that number 11 as they come into 1. Now nearing the exit of turn 2, it's Taylor Nadeau making contact with the left door of the 11 of Curtis May. They're neck and neck down the backstretch. It's a drag race headed down into turn number 3. Meanwhile, there's a scrum going on between Steve Vest, who just took 3rd position from Johnny Rapp, but all the action's up at the front right now. You couldn't slide a sheet of paper between the 11 and the 21. It continues to be a drag race down the front straightaway. It looks like Curtis May is going to give up that lap to Taylor Nadeau. As soon as I say that, the scoring monitor switched on me. But just to clarify, the 21 of Taylor Nadeau is in the one on the inside in that red and blue Sitco machine, while Curtis May is in the 11 to the outside. They have been on each other's doors, Chris, for the past couple of laps as they rocket ship down the back straightaway. Now Steve Vest with a major run to the back bumper of the 21. That's going to carry a lot of momentum down into one, and the 21 of Taylor Nadeau is going to cash it in.
Yeah, Steve Vest looking to the inside of Curtis May right here.
May into the wall off of 4.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Steve Vest is planning on running the NASCAR Sunset Showdown on Tuesday night, but I think he ought to think about it. Our pole sitter here is showing a lot of speed tonight.
Yeah, I'm really impressed by Steve Vest. Didn't mean to rhyme there, but he's a bit of a rookie at iRacing, and right now he's putting on a clinic. Steve Vest did start from the pole, fell back after getting contacted early by CJ Everett, but Steve Vest takes that number 3 Western Auto machine to the front once again. Steve Vest out of Alabama is your new leader in the Sunday night shootout for Slingshot Racing Media. That 11, Chris, not letting him go. He's going to slide to the outside. Curtis May says, hey, it was fun to let you lead for a moment, but I want it back. That 11 to the point once again. And Chris, I want to take an on-board shot if we can with Steve Vest and see what those hands are doing out of that number 3 Western Auto machine.
And here you are looking over his right shoulder from the passenger seat. You can see the little hallmark of the Chevrolet Monte Carlo of this era with the fan down there. But yeah, we'll look at the helmet cam right here. Riding on board with Steve Vest. Got smooth hands right there. Yeah, I like what I hear right there. He's lifting on corner entry right there. Not getting too close to that 11. Getting up off the corner well enough to be able to generate a run right here. He's looking good right here. I don't know how much experience Steve has. He does hit the apron a little bit. That will upset these cars. I don't know how much experience Steve Vest has in these cars. Now he's pushing right there up the hill a little bit. That's going to enable Nadeau to get to the inside of him.
It's also a learning experience, right? That's kind of one of the first times he's been in this pack with high speeds getting a run, and you saw him push up the track. That's going to be important information for Steve to remember later on. Right now, though, the important information for Curtis May is you've got Taylor Nadeau breathing down your neck, headed down into turn 3. Taylor Nadeau's led 1 lap tonight. He's going to want to lead another here coming out of turn number 4. Just 12 laps to go here from Daytona. It's a short shootout tonight in preparation for the NSAR Sundown Shootout
Sunset.
coming up. Sunset Showdown. Sorry. Too many S's tonight,
it's a mouthful.
Chris. It's been a long weekend. But Curtis May sitting in the lead right now. He's got 5 cars behind him. Taylor Nadeau's in second in that 21. Meanwhile, Steve Vest maintaining third. He's got Johnny Rapp fourth, and I believe that is Paul Thomas, who's a little bit further back. Shane Coker right now running in the 5th position up ahead of Paul Thomas, trying to close the gap a little bit on Johnny Rapp, and you can see just how quickly these cars can close on each other. Taylor Nadeau still on the inside there. Curtis May thinking about coming back to the inside, but look at that teamwork, Chris, between Steve Vest and Johnny Rapp. A lot of bumper contact there, but both cars really remaining stable down the front straightaway.
Yeah, and it can be a little bit tricky to push in these things because if you push too hard, it will cause a little bit of a lift effect on the car in front. But Johnny's doing a nice job. Steve got a little bit tight right there coming off turn 4, and Johnny had a run on him, but instead of passing him, he's going to give him a push and push him right up back to the back bumper of that 11 car, and that's sometimes a little bit of teamwork goes a long way in these super speedway races.
Yeah, and Chris, what I noticed there, lesson learned from Steve Vest. He got that big shove into the corner, and did you know he managed to keep it down on that yellow double line there through that corner, meaning he lifted off the throttle and cranked that wheel the appropriate angle, and that's one of the difficult things to really understand about these cars at Daytona. We've been talking about it all night long, but look, He's coming right to the back bumper of the 11 of Curtis May, who's going to make that outside move on the 21. They go down the backstretch. Who's the 3 going to go with? Just with now 9 laps to go, he's going to tuck back behind the 21. Johnny Rapp going up top, maybe thinking about joining the 11, but that's going to bring the Shane Coker, number 32, right into the fray, Chris. That green machine has joined the battle here.
Yeah, and you'll definitely see, Shane Coker on Tuesday night along with Johnny Rapp. As Johnny turns, Steve
Steve's going to hang on to it. He's going to drive through the corner. Wow, Steve Vest, hands of the race. He's going to get it under control. But, Chris, you mentioned just how dangerous the contact can be here. And you and I are very familiar with that
Paul
tri-oval
Thomas has trouble.
bump.
Paul Thomas had trouble. I don't know what happened to him, if maybe he was avoiding Steve Vest there. But, yeah, we'll go back right here and look at this save by Steve Vest. Yeah, I think that we ran into trouble here one time, didn't we?
I think we might have. I wasn't going to say anything, but
I think it was in that very spot too. And yeah, we'll ride on board with Steve right here so you can see these hands in action.
Look at that, completely sideways. Pretty impressive work by Steve Vest there.
And I think the thing I like the most is that not an overreaction right there at all. He does not overreact. And I think Paul Thomas, you see him getting sideways right there. I think that he was maybe reacting to Steve Vest getting sideways.
That's the veteran move of the race for Steve Vest. Chris, right now, we've got kind of an interesting battle. Curtis May and Taylor Nadeau are your front 2 cars, but there is hardly any difference between Johnny Rapp and Shane Coker right now. Can't really see the Johnny Rapp machine because he's so up close to the back bumper of Shane Coker. They are catching that front 2 pack with a massive, they're in a massive hurry right now, Chris. And right now, they are about a second off. They closed about 0.5 of a second that lap. So they're working together, and I think we might see the urgency to work together increase between the 11 of Curtis May and Taylor Nadeau because they see Johnny Rapp and Shane Coker working their way closer and closer with every single lap.
I don't think they're going to be able to do anything about it. I think that they're gaining on them at such a high rate of speed. Right now, I'm trying to watch the real-time speed. Johnny Rapp clocking in at 207 miles an hour here through the tri-oval, and that's getting after it. Looks like he's about 214 miles an hour going into turn 1.
And they're doing a really good job right now, just giving each other space while also continuing to increase that airflow across the hoods of those cars right now, just flying through down the backstretch as they work their way by Paul Thomas here, that crippled car on the inside. And here they are, that 32 and the 52 have caught the back bumpers, respectively, of Curtis May and Taylor Nadeau. We're from a 2-car race now back to a 4-car race, Chris. Coming to 5 to go here at Daytona. Currently, Curtis May leads the field in that 11. It's Taylor Nadeau second in the 21. Meanwhile, Shane Coker and Johnny Rapp third and fourth, working their best to catch up to the back. And that double file race for the lead is going to help the prospects of the 32 of Shane Coker and the 52 of Johnny Rapp. 5 to go now, 4.5 to go. They follow each other into the wall. They're going to lose a little bit of time. Johnny Rapp makes an evasive maneuver to the inside. The question is, does he hit that throttle to try to maintain the draft of the front 2 cars, or does he gather it up and let the 32 catch back up?
As long as they're side by side, I think all of these guys are going to catch up to him right here because they're going a lot slower than these guys. As Shane Coker's going to hit the wall again. Looks like the handle's gone away on that 32 car, and he's going to straighten it out. But yeah, these two are still side by side,
contact
leaning on
between the
each other.
21 and the 11, banging on each other for sure. Now just 4 to go, less than 4, as the 21 of Taylor Nadeau slams it into turn 1, gets in gear, and the 11 to his outside isn't going anywhere. Chris, these two drivers have been side by side for much of the race. They put on a great show. Johnny Rapp trying to break up that show right now in third, trying to maybe figure out what driver he's going to go with, setting up the move. That's one of the kind of the critical aspects of super speedway racing, no matter what car you're in, Chris, is kind of setting up a game plan for the final couple of laps. The 21 really sideways there on the inside.
Yeah, and Paul Thomas up here, he got his quick repair after that damage right there. And he's on fresh tires, and he's pulling up on these guys right here.
Yeah, he wants to be in this battle. He's a lap down right now, but he's still getting a lot of experience out here behind these two leaders.
And if anything, this shows you the power of fresh tires here. A lot of times at Daytona and Talladega, fresh tires really don't matter. In these 87 cars, you betcha, it definitely matters.
And you can see it paying dividends right there. The 21 down to the inside. The 11 of Curtis May heads off that pass. Johnny Rapp, Chris, is still there. I'm not sure if Shane Coker's going to have anything to get back into it. And I was misspeaking, Chris. Shane's down 2 laps. So
yeah,
they were drafting together, but he was not in a battle for position there. Johnny Rapp now with Paul Thomas. John's got to be careful not to lose the lead draft here. About 2 laps to go here from Daytona. Curtis May currently holding point. Taylor Nadeau second. Johnny Rapp maybe seeing if he can use Paul Thomas to get back up to the back bumper of these guys right now.
Yeah, it's going to be hard, and I don't know if Paul Thomas will stay in front of Johnny right here. Johnny might want him to stay in front of him so he can, possibly get that pole, but coming to the white flag right here, and I want to be where Curtis May's at. I think it's going to be really hard. I don't think they're very organized behind him.
Now, we've seen the 21 of Taylor Nadeau, no stranger to be willing to use that right side of his car to make a little bit of contact. He's going to tuck up right to the back bumper here. White flag is out. Less than a lap remaining from Daytona. Johnny Rapp draws a bead on these two, and you can see, Chris, the 21 lifts out of the throttle, maybe going to try to get one final run for one final attempt. Nadeau flirts with destiny here. He closes the door on Paul Thomas. They're coming down the backstretch. Thomas trying to push the 21. He's going to cut off the 52. The 21's going to have one last shot as they exit turn number 4. Can Taylor Nadeau get by the 11 of Curtis May? The answer is going to be no. It's going to be the 11's day. Curtis May wins at Daytona. It's going to be Taylor Nadeau second, Johnny Rapp third. Great races. We watch drivers have a little bit of fun off the corner. Airborne and gets it back on 4 wheels. Celebratory liftoff, if you will, for Curtis May in that number 11, Chris.
Yeah, great race for him. He was definitely the class of the field for this entire race. Led 30 of the 35 laps, and definitely deserving of the checkered flag tonight.
Yeah, that was a fun little race. Just a bit of a warm-up for what's coming up on Tuesday. We'll have at least 3 times as many cars in the race for the NASCAR Sunset Showdown. 200 miles around Daytona in these cars, Chris. These drivers are going to have to bring their biceps and their mental fortitude because it is going to be a wild one. 200 miles. Better them than me. That's all I've got to say. Curtis May is the winner. Taylor Nadeau second. And if you've joined us tonight for this race, you got to see a lot of different things. We saw some contact. We saw Steve Vest, really, Chris, I feel like was the breakout performance of tonight. Obviously, Curtis May is your winner. But Steve Vest leading multiple laps and making some moves for the lead. Really proud to see the progress that he has made. I'm really curious what this is going to be like for 200 miles on Tuesday night, Chris. I think there's going to be excitement. I think there's going to be a lot of awesome moves. I think we'll probably see a big one at some point, but if you're watching, if you're interested in signing up, look up NASR Sunset Showdown. Should be able to find the information on that. And appreciate everyone bearing with us through all the technical difficulties tonight. Just getting warmed up for a new season, a new slate of broadcasts. We made some transitions with our streaming software. And if you liked what you saw tonight, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and give that video a like. Every single like helps. Appreciate everyone tuning in tonight. We're going to be back live 8 o'clock Eastern Time, Tuesday night. Same cars, same track, but more cars and even more excitement. For Chris Smith and Ellis Thomas and Slingshot Racing Media, so long from Daytona, everyone. We'll see you this Tuesday.